It felt a bit intimidating, of course. At the same time, I felt really solid about my playing, so I was not really concerned about being judged. Satyr has a huge interest in sports, and I think he was trying to find a common approach to performance. From 2019, I guess, I started to feel that I was missing something, and I was missing listening to some metal. I had almost stopped listening to metal too. I didn't really know where to start, but of course I was thinking about Frost because, I mean, there's several reasons. First of all, I think he was one of the better, if not the best, black metal drummer out there. So this is a great reason to think about him.
All right, well, Gildas, thank you so much for taking some time to talk to me. And I have to tell you, I was completely and utterly taken by surprise when I heard Via Doloris for the first time. So delighted to be able to speak to you finally. How's everything going with you?
Well, thanks for having me. Thanks for the nice feedback already. Quite a surprise, nice way to start. I'm good. I'm towards the end of the intense promo round that has been developing over the last weeks for the Guerre Et Paix album, and yeah, finally we get to speak to each other. It's been quite a bumpy road, but now we're there, and we finally have the chance to have a conversation. So, all good.
Yeah, no, I think we were both jet setting, so the schedules never quite aligned. But you've just come back from Australia, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And what were you doing there?
Actually, it was private matters, but I also played a show, a jazz guitar show, and I had a masterclass and a show the same day in Sydney.
I have. So, I mean, I wasn't aware of your jazz guitaring before. Obviously, I discovered Via Doloris or anything like that, but in anticipation of us speaking, I've gone and I've actually taken a look at some of the videos that you have up on your YouTube channel. And as much as that's not necessarily my style of music, I hear plenty of it because I'm a big audiophile and I like going to audio shows. And as you know, that's the only music that they allow at audio shows and hi-fi shows. But I have to say, I'm extraordinarily impressed. I mean, the musicianship, the technicality is pretty astonishing. Like, how long have you been down this track of jazz guitar? I mean, I know you and I are more or less the same age, and we'll talk a bit about your musical background in a second. But how long have you pursued jazz guitar and just guitar playing as you do it on things like your State of Play album? How long have you been doing that for?
Well, I started playing jazz guitar around 2003, I think. So this brings us to an age of 22. Yeah, so it's more than 20 years ago. So I more or less, I cannot say I've lived with several genres all my life, but I've been a multi-style guitar player for quite a while. Interested and active in different styles, yeah, definitely. And jazz guitar is a big part of my actual career.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can tell. And again, I hadn't realized just how prolific you were until I actually started looking into it. But let's kind of go back to your early experiences with music. How young were you when you had your first positive engagement with music, like where you heard a band that you thought, this is the band for me, this is something that I genuinely like? Can you remember what that first experience was?
Yeah, one of the first actual experiences was probably some cartoon music, like opening sequence music. I remember pretty well that I had to buy the 45 vinyl of that show. I'm not sure of the English name or American name for that, I'm sorry, but I really liked that. And it had this 80s heavy metal vibe to it. even though it was probably my only, the only time I really enjoyed that kind of music, because I'm not a big 80s metal fan generally. But and then came the first big shock was AC/DC. Definitely, I discovered AC/DC as they released the live album, the double live album, which must have been around 91, if I'm correct.
Yeah, I think I was 91 or 92.
Yeah, and this blew me away. Like, I knew about the Beatles, and I really enjoyed the Beatles. I must say that there was not a lot of music at home that really interested me. My parents were not really into, they're like singers, songwriters more than anything else. So the lyrics were important for them, as like perhaps the centerpiece of what they would listen to, and French-speaking artists quite a bit. And I was not really interested in that, so I had to look on my own for things I would enjoy.
So what did they say when they heard Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap, or Thunderstruck, or Shoot to Thrill coming from your bedroom?
Not much, they just let me enjoy what I wanted. And I cannot remember any particular comments about AC/DC, but later on, when the metal got harder, there were definitely some comments,
It's funny because my first experience with metal, and the song that started me on my path was Thunderstruck. And I discovered that when they released the video right before they put out the Razor's Edge. I saw that, ironically, while I was waiting for my parents to get ready to go to church. I turned on the television and it was on, and I remember repeating that song to myself in my head over and over and over until I found somebody that I could record it from onto a cassette, just because I didn't want to forget what it sounded like. But it was one of those, and I've described it previously on the podcast as one of those moments where you feel like you have discovered a missing limb. It's just like part of you was missing. And when I heard that riff, when I heard Angus Young play those opening notes, I was just, it just clicked for me.
Yeah, I totally get it, because I think this Thunderstruck and Money Talks were the two singles that were used to promote the live album. So I must have been exposed to Thunderstruck and Money Talks before any other track, I think.
Yeah, the live album was, and I remember the live album getting pushed with Thunderstruck, because that was also the lead single off Razor's Edge. But I remember hearing that, and I was still reasonably early into my love of AC/DC. I'd gotten Razor's Edge, I'd gotten Fly on the Wall, and then I got Back in Black. But I also heard stuff on live that I hadn't heard before, so that then drove me to check out other records. Nowadays, I'm more of a Bon Scott fan than I am of the Brian Johnson era of AC/DC, but that band to me will always have an exceptionally special place because of that feeling of discovery when you're young. I don't think there's anything that compares to that level of excitement that you feel when you hear those first bands that have that indelible impact and influence on you.
Yeah, but I'm also must say I'm lucky enough to have experienced this several times, because AC/DC was one thing, but then I think when I discovered extreme metal, I had the kind of that same feeling when I heard brutal death metal for the first time. I was like, okay, what is that? And I felt I was touching something new. And the day I discovered, I know it came like very suddenly, but I think I heard A Blaze in the Northern Sky and Vis Lysetar Oss by Burzum the same day. And this was, again, an amazing experience. I still remember we were sitting in the bedroom of a friend, and that guy had brought these CDs with him, and we were like, okay, this is even better than anything else we knew. That was already better than anything else we had known. So it just kept on increasing in intensity and in these like amazing experiences. And suddenly here we are, and I think things got a bit more rare. These experiences got a bit less, more rare, and we got less of them. Even though sometimes you can still enjoy something you don't know about and have a good moment and a good experience.
It's funny. A friend of mine sent me a newspaper article a little while ago, and they were talking about a study that had been done recently about why people of our age, and I'll explain in a second why I don't necessarily put myself in this category, but generally speaking, why older listeners of music don't connect with music in quite the same way that they did when they were young. And the crux of the argument is that your personality is being formed, you're busy finding yourself, and those bands and those songs that form part of that journey are effectively not just interwoven into your preferences and into your likes or dislikes. It's actually woven into your personality. It is part of what shapes and molds your personality, and that is why it has such a that's why an album like A Blaze in the Northern Sky, for example, for you would occupy such a special place in your probably in the way you view music until the day that you breathe your last.
Yeah, it's I don't exactly think about things in that way, but I do think that we're quite more receptive to new signals in our teenage years, and because these are the years where we are building ourselves, and any strong signal gets really under your skin and stays for a long time. That would be my way of looking at it.
Yeah, I mean, to me, there's absolutely no doubt, because part of why I was so interested in this article is this has been a conversation I've had many times on the show. And I look at it from various angles, right? We'll talk about the excitement of discovering music when we were young, but equally, I have also been quite critical of people that say that there's nothing good coming out in 2024, 2025, or 2026, because I personally think if you know where to look and you're paying attention, there is a groundswell of creativity at the moment in the extreme music scene that is absolutely astounding. But again, there's still that emotional attachment to some of the earlier things, and it was just interesting looking at it from that perspective, in terms of how it weaves in, how that music, the music that you discovered when you were young, is woven into your personality. Because I can see that. Like you were talking about Burzum earlier, I remember when I heard Dunkelheit for the first time. I mean, that to me was just one of the most eye-opening, extraordinary musical experiences of my entire life. You kind of listen to it and you don't know whether you should feel scared or exhilarated or both, but it was just eye-opening.
Yeah, it was definitely a very, very strong experience to listen to Burzum for the first time, and I never stopped listening to Burzum. Actually, it's probably the only band I never stopped listening to in my whole life.
Well, what are your thoughts on this kind of blanket disavowal of Burzum that you see in some parts of the scene? I was at I'm going to choose my words carefully here. I was at a forum hosted by a particularly large Norwegian black metal festival, and there was somebody talking about the album art that they had helped curate for Burzum, and they said it was the worst decision of their life, and they regret it every day. And you could sort of see the people in the audience sitting there nodding along. And I thought to myself, you hypocritical motherfuckers! Like, all of you, if we play some of those old albums right now, you're all gonna love it. And you don't have to necessarily love what the man did or what he said, but there's no question that what he made musically was exceptional.
Yeah, I would need to choose my words wisely too here. We live in very special times, and there's not always a lot of room for gray zones, moderation, or not a total approval of the one or the other. So yeah, I think that answers your question.
Yeah. Well, you liken it to film, right? I don't agree with the fact that Roman Polanski was a sex pervert and somebody that took advantage of a 12-year-old, but is that going to prevent me from watching and enjoying Chinatown or Rosemary's Baby? Absolutely not.
Yeah, it's the whole debate, the man or the artist.
Yeah. So tell me a bit about your general childhood growing up, the environment you grew up in, the city you grew up in, because part of what I'm so fascinated about with you is you clearly have this curiosity around loads of different styles of music, which is what ultimately led you to pursue jazz guitaring and do so many different things. I'm fascinated about where that curiosity came from. Were your parents, you mentioned they listened to a lot of French singer-songwriters, were they very into music? Like, even if it wasn't music you were listening to, was there a lot of music playing in your home when you were growing up?
No, not really. There was not a lot of music, and there's no musicians in my family. So I cannot say I didn't. I was encouraged to play the guitar, but there was no one to get help from, or to get tips from, or to get recommendations from. My father is an artist, though. It's not his main job, but he's always been painting, doing sculpture, and so you could say there's some artistic stimulation at home, and definitely some interest for the cultural side of things. But I started to play the guitar. It was almost random, After school in France, you can stay a bit and do some stuff with some teachers, and I used to play chess for some years. And the last year at this kids school, I thought, let's try the guitar. Then I was 9 years old, and I liked it. It's not like I felt in love or anything, but I liked it, and I liked the way the mechanics worked. And I also think I had this ability. It just worked really well. So I continued. Then I took a few lessons, but funnily enough, I was not really interested in music at the time. But I liked the instrument, but not really interested in music. It's only like 1 year later I started to really dig Beatles, and then very quickly AC/DC. And then
I was going to say, what was it that you think caused you to shift or stimulated that interest? Was it simply discovering the Beatles and AC/DC, or was it something else?
No, I mean, it's just part of. I guess I found this interesting, this instrument interesting generally, and I think I just wanted to try and play the music I heard. I had a terrible ear at the time. I was really not. I might have some kind of gift when it comes to the coordination part, but when it comes to the ear music part, I was terrible. I really struggled. And again, with no one around to show me, or not even a TV at home. We didn't have a TV. So it's not like I was watching bands, I didn't barely. I remember I would try to play the solo from Highway to Hell, and it was. I remember it was just ridiculous. I had the notes, but I had zero styles. I could hear the right notes, but I didn't know how to play, so it basically didn't sound good at all. But I have these few recollections of my early days, but went better.
I do think, we talk sometimes about how easy it is for people to discover music, but you make an extremely good point about how easy it is for youngsters nowadays to learn how to play an instrument as well. If that's what they want to do, you can go on YouTube and there are thousands of people showing you how to play the riff of a particular song or the guitar solo of a particular song, or you can see somebody break down the piano lines to a particular track. And, the few years that I dabbled around with my dad's acoustic guitar, I had a couple of copies of Guitar World, and you would try. I mean, I had to teach myself how to read the transcriptions, and then you start playing, and then you try and play songs you've never heard properly, and you know what I mean. It's just a complete mess where you kind of started to develop something over time, but it's certainly not as easy or accessible as it is today.
Yeah, and having a magazine is good if you have the record at home, because then you can compare. But if you just have the riff written in tabs or whatever, it's still a mystery. And I used to buy this guitar magazine, but I mean, you had tabs every month, or it was probably a monthly, and you had the tabs, and I could read the tabs and play what was there somehow, even songs I never heard. And actually, funnily enough, many of these songs I heard much later. And like, oh yeah, so that's how it is, because I just played what I read, and I had no idea about the music. So it's not because you have all these old sources didn't necessarily help to get much better. They could show you some things that had been done, but I think a big part of what was missing was the link between the ear and the fingers. And if you don't have people around you, or if you don't have video, if you don't have an extensive record collection, then you have to, find your own way, and it can be really, really slow and painful.
Yeah. My song for that was Twist of Cain by Danzig. I had played it out of the Guitar World magazine for probably 3-4 years before I actually heard it. And when I finally heard it, I was like, didn't think it sounded like that. The notes were right, but the rhythm, everything else, completely wrong.
Yeah, sounds familiar. But of course, some things worked out pretty well too. So it's a mix, yeah. But when it comes to the the music culture, again, you mentioned this between the lines when you say that kids today have so much material to learn an instrument, but they also have access to all the music in the world, so they can listen to so much stuff. While back in our time as teenagers, we had to choose perhaps one CD a week, or perhaps not even, perhaps once a month. It depends on your budget, but you really had to think a bit before buying something, and you always would hesitate between 2 or 3, and which one do I want to come home with, and listen to the album many times to make sure that it was worth every franc or euro or dollar for others. It depends, but it's a totally different time today, definitely.
Just before we move on, as a multi-style guitarist and somebody who's been doing this for a long time, and guitar is your life ultimately, or your livelihood, how would you assess Angus Young as a guitarist? I've always wanted to ask somebody that, because he was kind of my first guitar hero. Like, I don't now consider him to be my favorite guitarist. He's certainly up there, but every so often I'll go back, I'll listen to some old AC/DC albums. The other day I was listening to Hell Ain't a Bad Place to Be in the car, and I was just marveling at his ability to use space and letting a particular note in a riff ring out and have it be so impactful and make so much of a difference in a song. I feel like he's one of these guitarists that play with so much feeling that it makes up for any, and I don't think he's got many technical deficiencies, although you may tell me otherwise. But if he had any technical deficiencies, it would completely be made up for because of the feeling that he plays with and how expressive he is with his instrument.
Yeah, actually, quite early on, I got more interested in Malcolm Young than Angus Young for some reason, because there was something in the way they played that I kind of understood that we had the best guitar player was Malcolm Young in the band, and Angus Young was the showman and playing leads. but I never really liked his leads. Actually, I mean, he's great. He has a great vibrato and he plays great hard blues leads. But it was not that which I really enjoyed in the band. It was more the songs, the energy, the sound, the riffs, the songwriting. And when it comes to Angus Young, I mean, he has been, of course, technically, you cannot compare with the bigger names of heavy metal guitar. But I mean, any other kind of solos would not have matched in the band. That's also a way to look at it. If the solos had been amazing with a lot of sweeping or tapping, so I don't know what kind of arpeggios, or a more complex language, it might have not served the song that well. So I think he's definitely the best guitarist for AC/DC. Even though I cannot remember I've been trying to imitate him or having been really influenced by him.
I think the same thing in a similar vein to what you just said. Now, I've always thought the same thing about Izzy Stradlin and Slash. I always thought Izzy was the star of Guns N' Roses. If you my favorite Guns N' Roses songs, it was always the rhythmic backbone that Izzy and Duff laid down with the guitar, also the bass guitar and the rhythm, that just made all of those songs. Whether it's Pretty Tied Up, It's So Easy, Locomotive, he just, again, he had this way of putting this muscle to everything that Slash did, and for me, you can really hear in everything Guns N' Roses did after he left. I mean, it's just not the same band anymore.
Actually, I'm not in a situation to comment on that because I really don't know Guns N' Roses that well. So I don't know who made which song, and yeah.
So let me ask you, at what point in your journey as a musician, you started playing guitar at 9, discovered AC/DC when you were around 11, 12 years old. At what point in your journey as a musician did making music, being in a band, performing, when did that become when did it turn into that for you? When did that become an option where you thought, this is going to be what I'm going to do with my life?
Well, it never got to that point. I never thought that way, actually. A bit later, so during my later teenage years, then I got really into black metal around 16. Yeah, I think I was 16. And this is it's like I entered a different era in my own life. Until then, it was more fun and mostly led by American metal, power metal, or Pantera, thrash metal, Slayer, and the magazines were really responding to that in the 93, 4, 5. Was a lot of American metal. But then I discovered somehow a compilation of black metal that was called Black End, I think it's called.
Oh yeah, I remember Black End.
I think many people know this. And and then it was a door to a lot of things. And I must say, most of the bands I disliked. I didn't like the sound. I think it was so small. Like I was used to these huge American productions, and I just couldn't really appreciate things how they were. Even though a couple of bands, well, I mean, for me, offered something a bit more interesting, and I think I needed another entry door to this music, basically. And if I remember properly, it must be through Immortal that I entered the Norwegian black metal thing. And for somehow I kind of started to get it there, and I started to listen to everything that had been done at the time in the genre. But yeah, it's not like it's not a black metal compilation that made me fall in love with black metal. It was just a sparkle of interest, but I had to find my own way to get in the style.
I think if you were new to black metal, and I'm looking at the track listing to it now, there was a lot there that would have taken you time to acclimatize to. I remember, certainly for me, Marduk, as an example, is one of my favorite bands now. But Those of the Unlight is a track featured on the Blackened compilation, and I remember hearing it for the first time and not enjoying it. It was the same with Impaled Nazarene. I love Impaled Nazarene now, especially Impaled Nazarene from that era, but I didn't enjoy it when I heard it on Blackened Volume 1. But you did have quite a lineup on here. You had Emperor with I'm the Black Wizard, Mayhem, Pagan Fears, Enslaved, Wotan, Samael, The Dark, Gorgoroth, Crushing the Scepter, Immortal, Pure Holocaust, and then, of course, the band that you would go on to perform with, Satyricon, Walk the Path of Sorrow. But yeah, I mean, an unbelievable lineup in the grand scheme of things. But like I said, I think there's a lot there that if you were completely new to black metal, there's a lot that would have taken you some time to get used to first.
Yeah, it's a lot to digest when you're new to a style. And even though I liked, I think my first Immortal record was Battles in the North, and Battles in the North has a terrible...
very similar to me. It was the same with me.
Yeah, terrible production somehow. And even the drums are tight, so you cannot even really understand what's going on sometimes. And it's super intense, so it's so new and intense, and the drums are tight, so you kind of lack a reference to really understand things how they are. But still, I really liked it. And then it was perhaps facilitated by the Osmose Productions that was really big in France in the metal thing at the time. And they had all the artists, so Marduk, Impaled Nazarene, which you mentioned, Enslaved too, actually. So they were pushing a lot on the French market, and I think all these bands got really popular and were touring also quite a bit in France already, if I remember, or at least perhaps a few years later. And so these were the first bands, but the first big shock was Satyricon, definitely, and it was not on this compilation, but it was a relative of mine that recommended me to buy the Shadow Throne, and this was one of the big shocks in my musical life.
Yeah, my introduction to Satyricon was through the Nuclear Blast soundcheck compilations. They had Mother North included on there, and I can't even remember what volume it was, but I remember hearing Mother North, and by that point, I was already listening to Samael, to Emperor, etc. It had, to me at the time, to my untrained ear, a similar, it sounded very distinct, but a similar approach to Emperor. It had those classical influences, and those, the sort of Norwegian nationalism at its core, and I just fell in love with it. I remember hearing the Mother North, immediately getting hold, doing everything I could to get hold of the album, and then I just devoured that every single day. Whether it was my favorite song on the record, "Du som hater good," I actually spoke to Frost about it, because to me there's so many little touches that he throws into that track that anyone who knows the record and knows the band, they'll immediately know what you're talking about when you refer to them. "Du som hater good," for example, you got that machine gun roll, or the machine gun fill, as I call it. But yeah, I mean, what a band, especially at that time.
Yeah, I mean, I got really impressed by the Shadow Throne album, and I think my life kind of changed somehow. I understood that I would, dedicate a part of my musical interest, or perhaps all my music interest, to that genre. And I was also quite shocked when I bought Nemesis Divina a few months later, I guess, because I was so obsessed by the Shadow Throne vibe, and suddenly came a vibe that was even different and even more surprising. And I love to be surprised and to be, I mean, you cannot really say challenged, but still I was 16, 17, so, and I really loved the vibe. So I think the Nemesis Divina vibe is really different. So I felt like, oh my god, this is totally different. I still love it. I don't know how to love it. And and then I got into Burzum, as I said, and Darkthrone, and then this was my trilogy for many years. These 3 bands, I got a bit obsessed, with these 3 bands as a music listener. Not only listener, nothing else. I just love their music, and I think they made the best black metal records ever.
And so going from being a fan of Satyricon to actually playing in Satyricon, because later on, for those of you that don't know, Gildas would go on to perform on the self-titled album in 2013. You were also part of the Satyricon, I think it's called Satyricon Live at the Opera. You're part of that video. And you performed with the band for a period of time. How did that come to be?
Yeah, so then we can fast forward to 2007. So a lot happened there in the meantime, musically for me. But there was a call for audition on their website in 2007, and I was as a dedicated fan, you could say, I was following the news. I was checking the news section of the website regularly. And I saw they were looking for a guitar player, and a short version audition, and took my guitar to Oslo and played with the band, and that was it. Short version, yeah.
How did you feel standing in the room with those guys, having listened to them? I mean, at that point, probably for 15 years.
Yeah, well, it felt a bit intimidating, of course. At the same time, I felt really solid about my playing, so I was not really concerned about being judged. I was more, getting kind of absorbing a vibe that I didn't know. I didn't know that vibe. I had never experienced that kind of vibe. And there's many things, It's another country. It's different people. It's a special niche style somehow. It's a special occasion. So the vibe was definitely, very different from anything I had been used to.
What is Satyr like to work with? Because Frost, when he was on the podcast, told me some incredibly interesting things, including the fact, and I don't know whether you were part of this or not, but that they actually, as a band, got in touch with a Olympic performance coach to help train them to basically be better on stage, like how to control your breathing, how to physically prepare to be on stage and be a better performer. And I was just blown away by that, because I'd certainly in this scene in black metal, I've never come across somebody that is that dedicated to their craft that they would do something that is, I mean, it's perfunctory, but I think it's fucking cool as well at the same time.
Yeah, well, I was in the band when this partnership started, and it was super interesting. I mean, Satyr has a huge interest in sports, and I think he was trying to find a common approach to performance generally. I'm not sure how he established the contact with this Olympic Athletes Center. But I remember we were there sitting and talking about our challenges. And I also remember for one part of the concert, we had a coach a famous coach from a famous team of Norway being with us backstage, talking with us. I can't even remember the details, but I remember these moments a bit. And I'm not sure what happened after I left the band, how much they continued, but I remember Satyr talking about these small techniques we could use in some situations where your mind just, snaps or drifts away for a second, and how to come back without disturb the flow of the playing, trying to stay focused on stage and minimizing mistake if something happens that you cannot control. A few things that I still use actually when I play challenging things, and suddenly my mind drifts away. It's seldom, but it can happen once in a while, and I'm trying to focus on these very useful, simple but useful techniques.
I was going to ask you whether or not you felt that those techniques, that training, whether that benefited you, because Frost again had mentioned some interesting things to me about techniques he applies to this day to deal with performance anxiety, as you just pointed out now, getting lost on stage and almost kind of just losing your footing a little bit on stage. But it sounds to me like you've kind of answered the question. It was useful, and it is something that you've been able to apply since.
Yeah, so I think me and Frost have totally different challenges. Obviously he's a drummer and he has another job to do than me on the guitar. But I can remember that for me it was mostly in the beginning, I must say, in the first years, it was like some regular position checks that I had to perform to just solve this issue that happens sometimes, that I didn't know who was in my back or who was behind me. And because we headbang a lot, we move a lot on stage. I'm not saying you can be disoriented. It's totally exaggerating. But sometimes you can be very focused on your instrument and your headbanging, and things still happen out there. So this was a very concrete thing I remember getting tips about. Other than that, I'm not really subject to performance anxiety, so good for me. But things happen on stage anyways, within you or outside of your control. And you have to find a way to deal with it the fastest and less damageable possible way.
What's been the most challenging situation you've dealt with on stage? When you think about it in the context that you've just said now, things happening that are outside your control, what's been the situation you can recall that was the most challenging to navigate in the moment or at the time?
With Satyricon?
With anything you've done?
Well, I think I have more challenging experience on stage with jazz than with Satyricon. Because, and for me the reason is simple, is because when you play jazz you need to be in the moment, attuned to your colleagues on stage, and really on top of things, both mentally and technically. With Satyricon, it's more like it's not complicated guitar material. It's not like everyone can play, but it's very challenging to do while doing the show and while headbanging. But you recitate, you play something from A to Z, and you don't really need to involve yourself mentally. You play what you have to play. Whereas when you play jazz, you always respond to the environment musically, to what's going on, and you improvise solos. Obviously, the solos are improvised in jazz. That's one of the characteristics of jazz. So you need to be creative. You need to have a lot of extra or an overflow of energy to be able to have something to say and to channel out there. And you have to put all this through a filter of your knowledge and your musicality and your sensitivity while you are playing, all this while you're playing. So if not in a good day, it can go pretty bad. I mean, of course, I'm a professional musician, so people will barely notice, and I know for a fact that this is how it is. But inside of me, it can be a real challenge to play a whole concert if something is not right inside of me, or if something has happened that I couldn't recover from. Anything, and some something that pisses you off, and suddenly you just can't recover from that because it really annoyed you and it made you lose your focus. You were in the right place and suddenly you're not anymore. So this is a much higher risk performance for me to play jazz than play metal when it's let's say really prepared.
Yeah, and I mean, just on the performance side of things, you had experience prior to joining Satyricon because you were also with a band called Morbid Rights, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it is. Then we're moving back to my late teens, and we had this black thrash band in my hometown, and not a lot of gigs, to be honest. But we had a couple of demos we were distributing, to our friends under the table. It was more for fun and no ambition at the time. We just had fun between friends.
And I know I'm jumping around a little bit now, but just going back to Satyricon, what were your favorite songs to perform live with Satyricon?
To perform live, I think it's a few songs we have not been playing that much, like Nemesis Divina, which I really enjoyed playing the few times we played it with the band. I know it's been included more regularly in the setlist now, but at the time, during all these years I was in the band, we didn't play that much. And I also like Havoc Vulture. I think it was a great song.
Killer song. Absolutely brilliant.
Killer song and great live song too. So I have a few. Same thing. We didn't play that much, so I have a few memories. But yeah, definitely these two, and with Ravenous Hunger, who would be one of my favorite Satyricon songs. So we played it
also. For me, my favorite era is Nemesis Divina and Rebel Extravaganza, but my favorite song by far is To the Mountains. And actually, I think the version on Live at the Opera was sensational as well. That is actually one of the big high points for me of that record.
Yeah, that day was amazing. It was the full experience. It was quite something to play with a full opera house in Oslo, which is one of the, I don't know if you've been to Oslo, but the opera house.
Yeah. I've not been to the opera house, but I have been to Oslo.
It's one of the most famous monuments in the city now. It's pretty new. It's from 2008 or something. It was finished around the time I arrived in Oslo. But playing there with a full packed venue, with the opera choir in your back, like blowing like these notes and these arrangements. Of course, it was no surprise. We had been rehearsing for a few weeks, but it was quite something to remember. Yeah.
I was going to say, like, what was the experience like of that scale? Because that is, I mean, obviously Metallica did it with S&M, and there's been a couple of other bands that have done it. But it's very rare that any band in this scene of this style of music gets to play at that low. I mean, I use the word scale, but at that scale. And I can imagine it must feel. I mean, it must feel completely different when you're on stage because you don't no longer have to think about the timing of 4 other men or women. It's now 80 or 90 people that you have to consider as you're performing.
Yeah, I mean, Satyricon has a quite of a status in Norway. I think Satyr worked really hard to make this happen, and everyone knows Satyricon here. I mean, at least everyone that is over 25, 30 years old knows Satyricon. So it's not totally a surprise that we could play at the Opera House at the time, but still, it was really big, and it's also one of the things that separates Satyricon from other bands, in my opinion. That the band has been trying things that others didn't try. Of course, you can say artistically, but also these kind of things. I mean, no one had done exactly this before. You had some similar experiments, but it was not done the same way. And yeah, as far as I remember, we were kind of feeling we were making history somehow.
What were so you left Satyricon in 2016, 2017?
I left Satyricon in 2013 at the end of the year. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And so if you think back to your time with Satyricon, what were the biggest lessons that you learned with Satyricon that you ultimately ended up taking with you into the rest of your career?
Yeah, you know what? I've been asked this before, and it's not an easy one to answer.
Don't mix heroin and cocaine.
It feels like ages ago now.
Yeah.
It's 13 years ago soon. And well, I can tell you I'm going to play with the band this year again, actually. So the whole 2026, I will be back on guitar.
Excellent.
I am. So I can say it's first time use or exclusive, some kind of exclusivity. I've said it before to a few others, but it is confirmed. So I will be joining the band for the season, the summer season and autumn.
Fantastic.
Still, I have stuff from back in the days. I can try to answer that a bit. Well, if you want something done, do it. That would be a good way to sum it up.
Yeah. So you decided that you wanted to do Via Doloris. What made you decide at this point, as you say, 13 years after Satyricon, doing the jazz guitar and everything else that you're busy with musically, why now to go out and put out your own black metal record and kind of put your own vision out into the world of a black metal album?
Yeah, so we need to jump back a few years again. So when I left Satyricon, I started to focus a lot on jazz guitar. I was already playing jazz guitar. It's not like, oh, let's play something else. It's not how it worked. And but I started kind of a career from 2014-15, where I felt like I was solid enough, and I still play quite a bit. It is one of my main activities, and I have a pretty good position in one of the leading bands in this genre in Norway. So I'm quite satisfied with this. But from 2019, I guess, I started to feel that I was missing something, and I was missing listening to some metal. I had almost stopped listening to metal too. Not that I was distancing myself from the genre, or again, a few bands were still in my playlist, as I mentioned earlier. But it came back quite strongly during 2019. And I have no explanation for that, just that, yeah, sometimes things change, and oscillate. And so, yeah, it was kind of a comeback to metal, and I started listening more to music. I was not playing yet, but then in 2020, I suddenly, because it was not really... it has not been a long process. I just took the guitar. I was like, hey, let's try to do something. and see what happens. And at the time, I was listening to a lot of really fast black metal, like Swedish stuff, fast, aggressive. And I was, let's try to do something in that vein, that kind of energy. And in 3 months, I'm done, and it will be a fun experience. But
That
of course, the 3 months turned out to be 5 years.
I'm about to say, so what was the reason for why it ended up taking so long?
Because when I started making the music, it turned into a much more ambitious project, musically, artistically, than I first thought. So I worked on songs. I was really involved in making good songs, and not forcing any solution to wrap them up. So I was working regularly, but I was waiting for the right solution to come to me. And because I was alone the whole time doing all this by myself, and no one was expecting anything, I could take all the time in the world. And then when I was done with the songs and the arrangements, and I started to look at the vocal part, and I started looking for a vocalist, which in the end I didn't find. So I did the thing myself, and then I started to look for a drummer for the production to make the record. And then after the record, it took some time to do the post-production and mix, and then do the visuals and the video, and get a deal. And from the point I got a deal, it took quite some time too. So it was a super long process, mostly because I was never on it full time, and because I've been doing everything by myself, almost everything by myself.
And you had the luxury whereby you didn't need to rush anything. No one knew anything about the project. You could just work on it until you were comfortable with what was being put out. I'm guessing.
That's exactly what I said. Yeah, it was no one was waiting for me anywhere. So why not just take my time and really, focus on the vibe and making something really honest, true to what I was feeling, and not making one more product just to finish a product and put it on the market.
Yeah. You have an unknown up-and-coming drummer that performs on the record, in Frost. I mean, when you talk about legends amongst legends, what a man to have on your debut album. Did you approach him about doing it?
Yeah, so now we're in 2023, and in the beginning of the year, and my demos are finished. I know the material is ready, like it's going to be like this, but now I need to make the record. And I didn't really know where to start, but of course I was thinking about Frost because, there's several reasons. First of all, I think he was one of the better, if not the best, black metal drummer out there. So this is a great reason to think about him. Second reason, when I made these demos, I programmed all the drums myself, and it went into quite some details actually. And I started to notice after some time that I was hearing a kind of a sound in my head, like a drummer style. And quickly I realized it was Frost playing. That was kind of invited himself in my head while I was making the arrangements for the music. And it's quite easy to understand because I've been playing with him for so many years, and I've also been his drummer I've been playing the most with in my life. 6 years, more than 6 years, 7 years. It's quite a bit. So I got so used to his style and his sound that I more or less consciously programmed the drums that not were fitting his style, but that were performed by his sound, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
So when I happened to be in when we were in January, or was it March 2023, then I needed a drummer for the record, and he was the first one I asked, obviously. And he liked the demos, he liked the material, so here we are.
And he is the best natural fit for that music, because I remember when I heard For the Glory for the first time, as an example, it was just he just slotted into what you were doing absolutely perfectly, to a point where, as I've gone back and I've listened to the record many times now, I've thought to myself, who else could have done that job? And there's a couple of other drummers that could have done it, but it wouldn't sound the same.
Yeah, and honestly, I can't think of anyone else, even though I don't have a full overview of who can do this. But he has the touch, he has the energy, and as you perhaps noticed, the Via Doloris guitar style is very like floating over the drum part. So I really needed a grounded drummer that is really hitting hard, really puts a lot of energy, to contrast with this guitar playing, which is quite often a bit like floating above the rest.
And quite atmospheric, but that's the thing. The interesting thing about what he brings to just about any band that he's in is he can make the simplest riff sound incredibly aggressive, just because of the way that he assaults the drum kit with basically everything that he does.
Yeah, he has this way of hitting, I mean, which is unmatched somehow. And I think he has also a great, like, you really feel he's putting energy. Like, it's not only the way he hits, he has his sound, but there's a total dedication to the song when he's performing. He's going all in, and it's, I think, anyone that knows him or has seen him live knows what I'm talking about.
So tell me a bit about the concept of the record, because I am not a French national myself, so there's many of these songs I don't know. I'm going to try and pronounce the album title, but I know I'll fuck it up. But the album title translates to War and Peace, and there seems to be a kind of a flow to the way the record is structured, and a narrative to the way the record is structured. But can you expand a bit upon what that was and what your intentions were?
Well, the intentions were nothing in the beginning. It's something that retrospectively I found out it was a concept album, but it was not meant to be anything. I just made music that I felt. I dug quite deep to find the right vibe. Not to find the right vibe, but to stick to that vibe and make songs around that very vibe for a whole album. And I have not been consciously trying to orientate things in any direction or another. It's been the way it's been. It's very honest. It's very direct but subtle. I have not been trying to take control of my own mind and heart on this one. When the lyrical aspect came in, because I made the music before having a look at the text and the lyrics. When I worked on the text, I picked from some texts I've been writing. I write some texts, I put them somewhere, and I looked. I was trying I was kind of doing some matchmaking. What text is going to fit what song? And I somehow ended up with a thread that I found out myself while doing it. So it's totally unconscious. And the thread is, this is a journey through life and through the existential struggles. And this is basically the thread. But it's not only complaining, not only looking at the dark side. There's also a kind of hope and hope for something greater, hope to reach something greater, to get out of this, to discover something bigger, something balancing with the dark, unknown, worrying, struggling side.
That has always been something to me about black metal that I feel a lot of people miss. I mean, it's a very dark, very negative style of music, but there's always, for me, in the very best black metal, there's always been an element of empowerment in the music. It's never just, and this is why I hate depressive black metal or suicidal black metal as much as I do, because the best black metal things, like you talked about Battles in the North or Nemesis Divina, there's always been an element of empowerment, resilience, overcoming amidst all of that darkness and that negativity.
Yeah, there's always a dimension of transcendence somehow.
Yes.
Which is exactly what black metal fans are looking for, or at least that's how I see it. And also my favorite albums have this dimension. And that's something I miss from many other music styles, because you can't have the darkness and the transcendence, or the darkness and the light, or however you want to put it, or the war and the peace. Usually it's either or, but they won't be gathered on the same album in most metal styles, actually. But black metal has a few examples, as you mentioned. I kind of agree with the examples you chose there, and many others examples of these not purely dark for darkness. This is okay, but this is not my thing. I always try to find another dimension to the music, and I like contrasts. I like this feeling of greatness that you can breathe from a record.
Do you hear any of that in the newer black metal that you encounter, or or new music that you see coming out in this scene?
I'm not really in a good position to talk about that, because I have not really been following what's going on, and it's possible, but I don't know enough to tell you. There's so many things happening musically, and my main focus has not been black metal. It's all been quite deliberate. The whole Via Doloris process has been done like in a bubble of not listening to black metal for obvious reasons. And it's funny, because I've been reading some reviews that it's clear that the composer has been listening to some bands from that region or that country, blah blah blah, and I'm like, no way, because I have not been listening to anything modern in that genre, and even in metal, for years. So it's quite funny, but I cannot tell you about how the new black metal bands do it. I barely know any of them.
It's funny that you would read reviews like that, because that was one of the things that I thought as soon as I heard the record. It sounded to me like this is someone that deliberately has steered clear of listening to a lot of newer music or listening to a lot of black metal in order to make something that sounds quite unique. I mean, I can get into a long discussion here about my thoughts on music websites and music magazines. I think the vast majority of them are complete garbage, and most of it is written by AI. But that was always something that one of the first things that stood out about the record, aside from the fact that I just generally liked it. I like the aggression. I like the feeling on the record. But it does sound like it's very intentionally veering away from trying to sound like anybody else. It is just, it's kind of unique, and it's in itself contained, and that's part of the charm.
Yeah, it's possible. And at the same time, it's... I know it sounds a bit weird to put it like that, but at the same time, I don't have a huge culture in that genre, even though it's been my major genre for many years of my life. I'm not like, I don't own or know about that many bands. I've heard a bit of all the main names, of course, and I've listened a lot to some of them. And I know most of the names of the bands that do have sell a bit or whatever. But I'm really not. My culture is not that extended, because usually when I like something, I really dig it and I go all in, and I listen to it a lot in whatever the style. And I have some friends that are music fans, you can say, or music connoisseurs, and they know much more about music than I do. They're not musicians, but they like to listen to discover new things. And have you heard that record or this new song by that band? And I'm like, oh no, of course not. I know what I like, and I also like to find my own way. If someone recommends something to me, I'd rather not listen to it. I like to find my own entry door. This is a bit stubborn, but it doesn't work for me if someone pushes a record to me.
Well, you are soon going to be encountering a lot of music, because I did read I think this was on a website called Metal Pilgrims, the interview that you did there, and you were talking about potentially going out and performing this material live. Is that still the plan?
It's still being looked at. I don't think I could give any answer so far, because there's a lot of questions to be answered that I cannot answer today, unfortunately. There's many things, many aspects of this activity that have to be studied. But I've started to get some requests, so it's time to take a decision in the near future.
Well, your adopted countryman, Runa, Blasphemer, he did an exceptional job with Ruim. I saw Ruim play at Fortress last year, and it was extraordinary. If you can pull off something similar, I think that would be pretty amazing. Yeah,
I've seen them actually last year in Oslo. Was it earlier last year? They played at this festival in January in Oslo.
Mm.
And it was good.
Yeah, no, unreal. Well, Gildas, I want to say thank you very much for your time. This was a thoroughly enjoyable conversation. Congratulations on the album. And I hope that our paths are going to cross again at some point down the road.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. It was a pleasure. And I hope so. You're based in UK, right?
I am, yeah. Yeah, so I will be, just in case you're going to be there, I'm planning presently to be at Beyond the Gates in July. So if you're around, it'd be nice to see you. Yeah, likewise. Definitely. We'll try to catch up then. Awesome. Thank you so much, brother. Take care. Bye.
Driven out
That was For the Glory by Via Doloris off their debut album Guerre Et Paix, released on the 20th of March on Season of Mist. Apologies to everybody in France for insulting your native language, for butchering it quite as viciously as I just did. But a big thank you to Gildas for his time. I hope you guys enjoyed that conversation. Bandcamp link for Via Doloris in the description to the podcast as usual. And make sure if you head over there and you buy yourself some music, you let Gildas know who it was who sent you. Loads to come, my friends, including a meaty weekly news rant, during which I will be joined by my guest host, the sinister minister Karl Hikara. That's coming up in just a few moments, but first, we have us another premiere on the Sphere. It comes to us courtesy of our very good friends over at Apocalyptic Witchcraft Records. They, of course, provided last week's premiere. Great to see the energy coming from Apocalyptic Witchcraft. They are absolutely on fire this year. Loads of fucking fantastic releases, including the Faustian album, Gravier, and then, of course, the one we're talking about this week, Flowers of Rust. And for the very first time ever, you get to hear their brand new single. This is Sour Mercy. Flowers of Rust coming your way with the premiere on the Sphere this week. You just heard for the first time ever the track Sour Mercy, and that is taken from their forthcoming album, Crude Exhibitions of the Soul, due to be released on August the 7th by our friends at Apocalyptic Witchcraft Records. And as always, I will post the pre-order link in the description to the podcast. If you avail yourself of it, you let them know who it was who sent you. Another premiere on the Sphere coming your way next week. That is going to be by one of our unsanctioned filth alumni, and if you want to give yourself the opportunity to become one of those alumni, then drop me a line on intothenecrosphere@gmail.com or Jackie@intothenecrosphere.com, or go to the fucking intothenecrosphere.com website, fill out the contact form, send me a link to your Bandcamp, or to, you can send me a link to your YouTube. I don't really give a shit as long as I don't have to pay for it. But if I like what I hear, I will feature it on the show, no cost to you, of course, and you will join the Hall of Legends known as the Unsanctioned Filth alumni of Into the Necrosphere. Quick reminder before we go any further, you should know by now that I'm a card-carrying member of the Cosa Nostra of podcasting, dedicated to wiping out mediocrity, to gunning down mediocrity wherever we find it. And we start your week on Monday with Horrorwolf 666. That is hosted by Brandon Legion. On Tuesday, yours truly casts hexes and slays posers, and because I'm in a benevolent and a generous mood this week, you guys are going to be getting a double episode. The crippled Black Phoenix conversation that I'd originally intended for this episode, I'm actually dropping that one on Friday. I just figured, considering that I was going to have the Sinister Minister on, I had the Flowers of Rust, black metal premiere on the Sphere. I just thought that the crippled Black Phoenix conversation would work best as a standalone episode. So I'll drop that one on Friday. And then, of course, next week, I've got Hamish and his lovely wife. They, of course, from the band Darkthrone, talking about the upcoming Darkthrone album that is going to be released on Profound Law Records. A bit of a drunken affair, that conversation, but one I think you guys are going to enjoy. So make sure you tune in for that. Moving on with the Horseman schedule. On a Wednesday, we've got Everything Went Black, hosted by Mike Hill. We also have Iblis Manifestations, hosted by Cheyenne. On a Thursday, we've got Necromaniacs. Mike Hill returns for that, alongside the Sheriff, Mike Scondado. Some great feedback for the Sheriff from last week's news rant, by the way, and no doubt he will be appearing again soon. Jeff Kashid, he also joins the Necromaniacs gang, and then on a Thursday and again on a Sunday, you've got this week's news rant co-host, the Sinister Minister, the Reverend Karl Hikara. So once you're done listening to us on the Weekly News Rant, make sure that you head over and you check out his podcast, Soul Knocks. A few other reminders. While I got your attention, I'm going to be at Fortress Festival in Scarborough at the end of this month. Make sure you come and say hello if you're going to be there as well. And then I will also be at Beyond the Gates at the end of July. And again, if we haven't shaken hands, or even if we have, come over, let's have a beer, let's talk some shit, and I'm looking forward to meeting you all there. Right now, my friends, if you can name a single Beyonce song, then it's time for you to hit the bricks, because this is my Weekly News Rant.
Round them up for judgment. And hang them where the world can see.
All right, the Sinister Minister. Welcome back to Into the Necrosphere, my man.
Hello. I think it's is this the first time I'm back since we did our best of episode? I think so.
I think that it is, and it's our first news rant together for a while. I cannot fucking believe that it is the 10th of May already.
I know.
I know it's a trite thing to say. Look how time is flying, blah blah blah. But fucking hell, I mean, the fact that we're about to cross over into the middle of the year just blows my mind.
It's a little sickening because in my head it's still like April. It didn't help that here our winter was like record-breaking heat. Like we were like our winter was basically like. It never became winter at all, like all winter. So it felt really off this year. Like everything just feels kind of off,
Yeah. No, we had a relatively cold winter in like November, December, it was really, really cold. And fortunately, for most of December, we weren't here, so we missed a lot of that. And then since then, it's just kind of standard UK weather. Fucking rains every single day. This year, there was a period of time where I think it was something like 60 days where it just did not rain. Like it every single day, and it's not like pouring showers, so you didn't have floods and stuff like that. But there was rain every fucking day. you get used to it. But when you tell anybody else about it, even friends that I've got in Europe, even they like their brows furrow. They're like, "How the fuck do you survive in all of that?"
Yeah, I mean, I'd take it over being like hot and sunny every single day for entirety of winter, like it was here. Basically, December was like the last time it was kind of cold. Like basically January, February, March. It was like we had days it was like 85 in the middle of like February, 85 Fahrenheit. So it would be like 25 degrees Celsius or some shit. Like just crazy.
Let me ask you a question. I noticed with relation to Sol Nox, you've not stopped the twice a week, but it seems to be becoming less frequent. Like you seem to be veering more towards once a week than twice a week. Is that due to your ongoing addiction to Elden Ring, or are there other reasons for it?
No, it's just like it all depends on what I have. I have just had too much. I had a lot of stuff to power through. It all depends on what I need to do. So like say the month I'm doing like the best of episodes, I got all episodes to power through in that 1 month. So I'm gonna do double them up for the best ofs. But in general, it's like Sunday's the only this is the day that the episodes for sure come out.
Yeah.
The other day is just if I have an excess of episodes or something like that. You know what I mean? So it all depends. It's not the Thursday is like not I'm not like I never intended for it to be like it's always going to be on every twice a week. That's just like if I have too many episodes, I need to get them out.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So it's kind of like when I do a Friday episode. That's the same thing. I mean, I do them less because I find like I've had these runs where I've had to do like 3-4 of them in a row. But then the problem is, then suddenly you find yourself without episodes, and you're like, "Fuck, maybe I should have held on to those." You never want to release it when it's too old, but you also don't want to, you also don't want to empty the barrel before you've got, and not give yourself any moat just in case life takes over, or, things get busy. But quick question before we dive into the news. I think we spoke about this when you were on the show last time, but you were saying that you were going to do your your first art exhibition in a while. I saw some of the photos and stuff, or at least of the pieces that you were exhibiting. Looked very cool. But how did the exhibit go?
It went well. I didn't sell anything, which is fine. But it was cool just to have everything up, with my friend Jack, and have it out in public. And I had a few people like message me like, "Oh, I just saw your art." Like, just went into the bar randomly. So that was kind of cool, But yeah, it's always nice just to get stuff out. The nice thing about doing an exhibition like that is just to have like kind of make a set of paintings. You know what I mean? Like, so they're all kind of like this set of paintings I did for this particular thing. Can be kind of nice rather than just doing paintings here and there when you've kind of in the mood for it. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So it's cool to just have them all out.
Have you got the next one planned yet?
Probably it'll be next year. I might do some with Jack for his Day of the Dead one in October, but that's not for sure yet. But we'll definitely probably do one in February next year as well. So
this one is or this next one will be the one where you focus purely on nudes, though.
Right? Yeah, we'll just do all.
Just stick to the nakedness.
Yeah, I'm just gonna do purely naked women.
Perfect.
Maybe that'll sell better.
Let's dive into it. And we're going to start with the new Darkthrone. They've put out a new single lyric video, but of course the album came out as well.
Yeah,
we'll talk about the album in just a second. I must confess I've actually not had a chance to listen to it properly yet, so I'm gonna get your expert take on it. But the video they've put out is for a song called "They Found One of My Graves," and of course that's from the new album. The new album is called Prehistoric Metal. So let's hear what the single sounds like. Pause there. Just so we level set, what are your, I don't think I've ever asked you this question, what are your favorite Darkthrone albums?
Anything up to Sardonic Wrath, but so like Darkthrone for me primarily is over after Sardonic Wrath, but I would say that as far as like favorites, I mean, the thing is, I'm a big fan of the '90s stuff too, like the late '90s stuff. I mean, but I mean, obviously, like Under Fuel and Moon is probably my favorite. You know, let's just say outside of the original trilogy, you know, the Black Mode, but like obviously those are great. Outside of those ones, I would say I really like Panzerfaust, Ravishing Grimness, Hate Them. I mean. All those albums are good though. Plague Wielder, Total Death. I mean, but if I was gonna rank it, it'd be like Panzerfaust, Ravishing Grimness, and then Hate Them would probably be the top three of that post classic era. You know what I mean?
Well, my favorites, including classic era, would be Hate Them at number 1 and Plague Wielder at number 2, and then probably A Blaze in the Northern Sky. I think that Rust of Hate Them is one of the greatest album openers that I've ever heard in my entire life. And that whole record, it's just furious, aggressive, raw. It's just everything that's great about black metal. And then I always felt Plague Wielder never got its due. If you go back and you listen to a song like Command, track 4 on that record, I mean, that is what fucking proper black metal should sound like.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a phenomenal record. Anybody that discounts it is a fucking ignoramus.
Yeah.
And then I really love it.
And then for all the stuff after, I mean, I really honestly despise like The Cult Is Alive and Fuck Off and Die and all those shitty albums. And then but Darkthrone's one of those bands that, you know, they put out an album, I'll still listen to it in the hope that maybe it'll be good. And they've a few of the, like I liked Arctic Thunder, I thought that was pretty okay. Old Star. And then the last 3 albums have been pretty mediocre, in my opinion. particularly Eternal Fails, which is just an awful album, and then just so boring. It's just boring. And the last two, there's been moments that have been okay, and then this one I think is a step up from the last two. Like, it's maybe not as good as like Old Star or something, but it's on the better side of things. I think that it has some pretty good songs on it. Actually, I listened to it yesterday.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. They're one of those bands where I have enough of an emotional connection that whatever they put out, I will always give it a chance, and there'll always be a part of me that's rooting for them to come back with something that just blows me away.
Yeah.
But when I saw the cover for Prehistoric Metal, and it's just not.
It's not as bad as ice skating photo, which is just such a fucking
no, it's not that bad.
What I don't see here, what I don't understand about the cover is the special edition vinyl has a sick drawing of a barbarian, it's very perfect for the kind of thing that they're going for on this album. From as far as I can tell, it was some barbarian, kind of old school D&D art. And I was like, why isn't this the goddamn cover? Why did they pick a fucking Fenris with a goddamn pitchfork? I don't. What is the deal? What's the deal with these horrible album covers?
I feel like, quite honestly, it's a sign of a band that doesn't take their music seriously, and it's fine. There's nothing wrong with not taking yourself too seriously. There's nothing wrong with poking fun at yourself from time to time. But Darkthrone has always been a band I have taken incredibly seriously, and the direction that they've taken over the last couple of years, and it's not just the
last 20 years.
I'm about to say it's not just the album cover; it's the music as well. It's just not a band that takes themselves seriously at all, and therefore. That alone hurts my experience of or my enjoyment of listening to them. If I look at some of those the albums that come from the wilderness years, there have been a couple of records that I thought were actually quite good. I really like Circle the Wagons. I think that's a very good album, surprisingly good actually. Arctic Thunder has got its moments. Deep Lake Trespass being the absolute pinnacle of that record. And then I'm kind of with you on the others. Eternal Fails is abysmal. Astral Fortress is a lot better, but still not great. It Beckons Us All, I thought was not bad, but certainly wasn't going to make my best of list. And what I've heard in that single, like I said, I haven't listened to the whole album properly yet, so I can't give proper judgment. But what I've heard in that single, it's all right. But is there any reason I'm gonna listen to this over the myriad of fucking fantastic releases that have come out in 2026 so far? Absolutely not.
I would recommend giving it a listen at least, just because I liked it enough that I'm probably going to give it another listen. But as far as I think there's some songs that are better than the singles they put out, if you know what I mean. There's better songs on the album. But again, is it going to be a contender for my end of year list? No, I don't think so. Yeah. And I do keep hoping for them to surprise me. I guess here's the thing. Coming, when I got into Darkthrone in the early 2000s, it was when they were still the stalwarts of black metal. They were keeping true black metal alive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They were still Darkthrone is for all the evil in man. That. That's for me what Darkthrone was. And so it's been kind of, I hate to say it, but I have the other side of me that I struggle with is I kind of feel a sense of betrayal from Darkthrone for just turning their back on black metal in the sense of what they were. You know what I mean? Because really that's what they did. After The Cold Is Alive, they're they're not black metal anymore, obviously. And they kind of turned their backs on everything that black metal stood for, really, in my opinion. I know that people were well, at least they did what they want. And I guess I agree with that if they weren't feeling being that anymore, but it just kind of sucks if you when you are Darkthrone meant one thing and now it's kind of weird because it's that older Darkthrone still means that because they obviously were serious about it, you know what I mean? And so now it's two bands in my head. like totally split off from each other, you know?
Yeah. I've got a question for you. I was talking to Marco about this on the phone on Friday. You have to imagine, and I don't know this for sure, but you would have to imagine right now the offers being extended to them to play shows or to play festivals.
Oh yeah.
It would be high six figures, if not seven figures, dollar terms, not fucking rubles. But I would imagine, you know, Wacken would be offering them probably $1 million to play live. Do you think that there comes a point where these guys reach an age where they check out the old pension pot and they go, I know Fenris right now is 54 years old. He goes, I'm 60 years old. I don't really have a pot to piss in. Certainly not enough to keep myself comfortable in my retirement age. Fuck it, we're going to play 3 shows. And they sell the shows to the highest bidders. And they make, you know, they net themselves $2.5 million for the 3 shows, split it between the 2 of them, and that at the very least gives them a, you know, nice retirement. I would have done it, no question about it. If you offered me $1 million to play, I'd do whatever the fuck you want. I feel like the tribute to Darkthrone that they had at Inferno, I know that was I wasn't there, of course, but it was absolutely rammed. Apparently exceptionally well received. What do you think that's a realistic scenario to where they're going to surprise us and do that? My prediction is in the next 5 years we will see, and it'll be presented as one night only, and then there'll be probably another few of those one nights only. But I do think we're going to see them play live.
Yeah, I think so too. It'll probably be at like Beyond the Gates or Inferno or something is my guess, though. Yeah, if you know. They do have enough of their integrity that I think they would probably want to do it at a festival. They probably wouldn't do it at Wacken, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Even
though they could probably get more money at Wacken, but 100%, I think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think so too. All right. Well, let's move on. Frozen Soul are streaming a new track called Chaos Will Reign. I haven't paid this Frozen Soul record very much attention. I did get a nudge the other day from some PR person who I actually haven't even seen before. So they contacted me through the website saying, have you listened to this? Would you like them on the show? We will determine that right now as we listen to the song. So it says here, the new Frozen Soul record, No Place of Warmth, has been officially released. Coinciding with the release, the Texans have launched a Brendan McGowan-directed video clip for the new single, Chaos Will Reign. I'm going to have to correct myself. I have heard these guys, but my mind blocked out how horrible that experience was. I can't remember whether I had you on for that or whether I had Rugoth, but they had a single that they put out a while back called Invoke War, and I absolutely fucking hated it, partly because the lyrics were atrocious. The song itself was fucking dreadful. This is a lot better, but it is still not good. What are your thoughts?
I couldn't remember this band, but then I realized that I have heard this because they did a song with Gerard Way from My Chemical Romance on vocals, where he's doing like black metal vocals, which was weird. Which is the first song in this album, No Place of Warmth.
All right.
Yeah, and I've heard that. And I was actually I kind of liked that song. Okay, and it was really weird to hear Gerard Way, doing black metal vocals. I was like, okay, but yeah, I mean, this song's just this is just like nothing special. You know what I mean?
It's devoid of any creativity is my problem with it. I mean, that is the kind of riff that I feel like a band who are in the rehearsal space just fucking around with some riffs or warming up, that's the kind of thing that they would come up with. It's very well played, and you can tell the band is very sincere about what they do. There's a sincerity, a general sense of purpose to the music video, to the way the song is delivered, but it's just not. It's not particularly creative. It's not particularly interesting, exciting, unique. There's just a million other death metal bands I would sooner listen to than this.
Yeah, it's just like I'm not like I don't need everything to be like super crazy or nothing, but just something about it just kind of felt like pretty just standard issue, like. The kind of stuff that back when I used to be reviewing CDs, I would probably listen to once and get, just give like a mid grade, you know what I mean? Like this, if I even bothered to review it, like when I was reviewing CDs back in the day, like for this online magazine, I would be like, after a certain point, because that was in the height of all the like bands ripping off at the gates.
Yeah.
If I put on a CD and it was another band doing like melodic death metal, I just wouldn't even review it. I wouldn't even bother, because I'm like, I don't want to be putting out a review going, yeah, this is like yet another boring album ripping off out the gates. Like I was like, I don't want to do that to these bands, so I'm just better not to say anything.
Yeah, dude, you know something, I have mentioned this before, I think, but we've not really ever spoken about it. That was one of the biggest reasons why I stopped writing for Metal Rules. I just got so bored of reviewing the same shit, because what would happen is, and it sounds to me like you had a similar experience, you would get sent a ton of CDs by Nuclear Blast, Metal Blade, Century Media, and there would be some good stuff in there, but there would be so much fucking garbage that just sounds the exact same as every other band. And then it just got to a point where I felt like, what more can I say about a band that is trying to present me with a carbon copy of basically any At the Gates album.
Yeah.
And then a weird thing happened. I got the Death Grips mixtape, ex-military, and I got so hooked on that album. It just, I got to a point where I'd come to the end of a month, hadn't written anything, had a bunch of record labels asking me when reviews for certain things were going to go up, and I just thought, you know what, this isn't fun anymore. I don't get to enjoy music the way that I used to. I don't get to really get properly hooked on a record and get completely obsessed with it and addicted to it. I'm just done with it. So I don't want to keep writing about shit that I don't like. I just want to focus on things that I enjoy. And again, I think partly the reason for that as well was it was as it was for you probably too. It's not a profitable endeavor. It's not like I'm making money out of it.
No, I was doing it out of the kindness of my own heart. So
yeah. It was weird. It was bizarre that a Death Grips record would cause me to move away from the writing. But it was just I was enjoying that album in a way I hadn't enjoyed a release for quite some time, and I just thought this is how I want to listen to music again.
Well, luckily all our promos were filtered through like the main guy who ran like the magazine, and so I just told him I don't want any more of those types of CDs. Like, just I was like the black metal guy, and then he'd also send me like the melodic death metal stuff that he couldn't, like as well sometimes. And I was just like, I don't want to review these anymore. I don't want to write about this stuff. Just send me the black metal stuff. So that's what I got for a while until I just didn't have time to do reviews anymore. And it is that thing, like, you get burned out on just getting you know, it was cool though to get a big package full of promo CDs or whatever, and go, okay, what do I got this time? And I found got a lot of really sick stuff that way. But I also have a ton of just like generic D grade bands, you know, and I still have all those promos in like a box. And it's just like every once in a while I go through it and go, oh yeah, I remember this like shitty album.
Yeah, I've still got a lot of my CDs. You know, I've probably got a collection of maybe 600-700 CDs, but I did go through a cleaning where I didn't even bother giving it to anybody because I didn't know anyone who would want it, but I took all those promos and threw them in the trash.
Yeah,
where they fucking belong. Last week a question was asked when I had Mike on by Kelu666. He asked what were Mike's controversial metal takes, and he gave me a really interesting one on death. So I wanted to ask you, what is your, if you had to say like, you know, a particular view, perspective, opinion on something, what is your bad metal take? Or your controversial metal take?
So you just mentioned Death. I think Mike and I have the same opinion about Death. Like I only like the first 2 albums. I'm not a fan of anything. Yeah, I don't like anything else. That's one of the things that you know, it just doesn't really do anything for me, you know. So that's one of mine, I guess. Because that does seem to annoy people. Like, you know, people who are big Death fans are like, what, you don't like Symbolic stuff? I'm like, no, I don't like it. Never did anything for me.
I don't understand how you can't like Symbolic. It's been amazing.
Yeah, I really don't. Yeah. So that's probably one of them. I'd have to think about something. Because I'm sure that was that Mike's take too. Because I think he doesn't like those albums either, does he?
Yeah, he doesn't like those records. Well, you ponder that, and let's dive into another single. We've got Haemoth. They say 2 weeks prior to the release of their new studio record, Black Dust, their first in 15 years, French black metal duo Haemoth premieres the new single called When the Dust Finally Settles. All right, so for anybody that doesn't know, what you just heard was the first release by Haemoth since In Nomine Odium. That came out back in 2011. Prior to that, they had Vice, Suffering, and Destruction. That was released in 2004. And their first album was Satanic Terrorism. That came out in 2003. Great name for an album. What did you think?
I love that. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, Haemoth are great. I mean, I remember hearing them back even in the early 2000s. I think, yeah, when Vice Suffering and Destruction came out, I remember that one. I got that one. Satanic Terrorism is a great album. I mean, they're a really good French black metal band, and I'm happy to put out a new album. I think it's pretty sick.
I agree. Love the song. The only thing I don't like is what the fuck is up with the drum production. When I first heard that, I was like, have they started using a drum machine? And then it's like, no, actually, I don't know whether I'm mispronouncing his name, but Sight is still the drummer. But whoever decided that was the way to present his drumming performance, because if you listen, technically, he's very good, but fucking hell, it blows.
To be honest, like I can't. The sound quality on StreamYard is so awful that I can just kind of make out the song. You know what I mean? I can't make I can't make anything about the production.
I thought that would be the case.
It sounds like
it's so bad. Even when I'm listening to it, like the drums sound like they were. The drums sounded like they were recorded onto cassette in a rehearsal space, and then they used the oldest software they could possibly find to mix it into the final cut of the track.
Yeah, because StreamYard's doing like things are getting like real compressed, so all I can really hear is like the riff and like the vocals pop out on top of it. So
yeah, no, it is frustrating, but anyway,
I still enjoy the song though. So
yeah, gets a thumbs up from me without a shadow of a doubt. Now, on the topic of bad metal takes, last week I had a question as well, and I actually saved it specifically for this conversation. I just need to get the question back up. I know, actually, as a matter of fact, I know the question. I'll find the actual screenshot that I took so that I can give the person who submitted it his due, but one for us to discuss. Rank all of the Satyricon discography from the ones that you love the most to the ones that you hate the most.
Okay, let me pull up discography real quick. So from best to worst.
From best to worst.
Okay, so for me, my number one is probably going to be the Shadow Throne. Then Dark Medieval Times, Nemesis Divina, Rebel Extravaganza. Although Rebel Extravaganza I might like more than Nemesis, but they're probably going equal. And then I would say it's actually kind of funny because then I would say Volcano, then Now Diabolical.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, it's exactly
next.
Age of Heroes next. Yeah. Deep Call of Deep is the bottom. And
all right.
Yeah, like it's basically like it's kind of in the order that stuff's released. I just realized that as I was.
All right, mine's a little different. So my favorite Satyricon album, Nemesis Divina, without a doubt. Second, Rebel Extravaganza. Third, Now Diabolical. I will say this about Now Diabolical: To the Mountains is my favorite Satyricon song by far. It's the best song I think they've ever done.
That's a good song.
Then it would be the Shadow Throne. Then it would be Dark Medieval Times. Then it would be Volcano. Then it would be Satyricon. I actually think Satyricon has got a couple of cool songs on. Org Craft, the first proper track on the record, I think is excellent. I really like the one that they do with a dude from Madrugada, Phoenix.
That's a good song, yeah.
Even though it's frankly shouldn't have been on a Satyricon album, but it's still a cool song. And then the two albums I really don't like. I think The Age of Nero is a boring, plodding mess of a record. And frankly, the less said about Deep Calleth Upon Deep, the better. It is atrocious. I don't understand how anybody likes it. I know I've had guys on this podcast passionately advocate for it. And when they have, I've gone back and I've listened to it and I've tried to see what people see in it that is great. I see nothing about it that's good. I know they're busy working on a new album right now, and I hope they do exactly the opposite in every possible way to what was fucking captured on that trash.
See, I don't feel as strongly about the album as you do. Like, I think it's like a 5 out of 10. Like it's okay. Like, I don't hate it. You know what I mean? Like I've only listened to it like twice though, so but I don't have like passionate hatred for it. Yeah, I might now you say that I might swap Age of Nero and Satyricon self-titled in my list, but I have listened to Age of Nero more than I've listened to Satyricon. The self-titled Satyricon album I've only listened to a handful of times, so it's one of the ones that I need to go back and actually give it a listen. I do remember liking the fact that they kind of, go back to, at least I think it has a bit more variation, because one of my issues with some of the mid-period Satyricon, like I would say a lot, like even now Diabolical's is the best of the mid-tempo Satyricon albums, I would say, but they do have a problem after Volcano where a lot of the stuff's so mid-tempo, and I always found it a little bit funny because it's like you got like one of the best drummers in black metal and you're like making him play at like a mid-tempo all the time, not even slow, not fast, like, you know what I mean? Like, and so like Age of Nero has that problem a lot. So I think the Satyricon self-titled at least has a bit more variation on it, right? So from what I remember of it.
It was funny when I was talking to Frost. I didn't want to outright ask him if the reason why he goes so nuts on 1349 is because of the direction that Satyricon took.
I wouldn't be surprised though.
I'm about to say, to me, it's pretty obvious that it is.
Yeah.
The work that he did on that Via Doloris album, same deal. I mean, he sounds like a fucking madman.
Yeah.
And it is so far removed from anything that you hear off, any of the last 3-4 Satyricon records. I think those projects, and the reason why he's become involved in them, is I think it's a genuine outlet for him to still express that side of what he enjoys. And then Satyricon, I don't want to say it becomes more of a job because he's clearly still very passionate about it, but he does treat that like more of a job, I think.
Yeah. It's funny. My first Satyricon album was actually Volcano. I bought that. That was what I got that album, I think, in like 2003 or beginning 2004, something like that. At Best Buy.
Wow.
Yeah, that was like one of the first. That was my introduction to Satyricon. I had read about some older stuff, but that was back when you got what you could find, because I was like 16 or whatever. You know what I mean? I couldn't once I could start really ordering stuff, then I got I think I got that one, and then I got Nemesis Divina and Rebel Extravaganza used, and then I finally got the other ones. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, they were a band I discovered with Nemesis Divina, and then I kind of stayed up to date with the catalog, so I was getting the albums as they were coming out. Rebel Extravaganza has always been an interesting one because I've never understood the dislike and the hate.
I don't get it at all.
That record, it's super aggressive. It's very, very dark. It's very unique in the Satyricon catalog because they never did a record like that ever again. But I think it's fucking fantastic, and it works exceptionally well as a start to finish listen with all the instrumentals and with everything else that's going on in the record. It's very complex as well, much more complex again than anything they've done, including Nemesis Divina.
Yeah, I think Rebel Extravaganza is really underrated. I do think it's a lot of judging. I don't know, because people go, well, people seem to have this imagination, like people have never listened to it, right? And they go, oh, that's some shitty like industrial one. And I'm like, no, there's no industrial on it at all. It's like probably their rawest, most black metal album in their whole discography. Like, actually, here's an idea. Why don't you listen to an album before you start spouting some fucking idea, some like opinion from a message board for 20 years ago? You know what I mean?
Well, you know where that industrial rumor came from, because that really is what it was. That came from the Megiddo Mother North in the Dawn of a New Age EP, and it is because the Orgasmatron cover that they did had like slight industrial elements to it. And when I say slight, I mean it's genuinely slight.
It's really slight, yeah.
But I cannot understand. I can't see where else it would come from.
I don't know.
Other than from that EP.
I think it's just maybe that EP, maybe because Moonfog around the time put out some of that kind of industrial stuff. Maybe it's because the cover wasn't in a forest, you know. But I mean, they're
Yeah.
still like in a basement. It's still like black metal, you know. Like it's just a little bit more urban vibes, you know. And maybe I think that's what put people off, because they wanted more like, you know, more of what the first 3 albums were. But at the same time, it's still like super black metal, super evil, super hateful. The production's great. I think Fenris plays drums on the final song as well. Yeah, I was saying, I think it's a really, really strong album. And if you're one of those people who's, you know, disregarded it for whatever reason, you know, shame on you. You need to go give it a listen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I agree. Here's a take that might be considered a bad metal take by some. I think the Satyricon cover of Orgasmatron is the best cover of Orgasmatron by no small stretch.
Yeah, I mean, as far as covers go, for sure.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
Unquestionably. Okay, some more music. Lecherous Nocturne released their first new song in 8 years. South Carolina technical death metal outfit Lecherous Nocturne has released a new single titled Fission, marking the band's first major studio material in several years since the release of Occultaclysmic. The track premiered through Metal Injection, must be one of their AIs that put out the song, ahead of their band's forthcoming fifth-length album, Violust, which is scheduled for release later this year. Cole was giggling like a fucking schoolgirl throughout that song.
Those lyrics are so goofy. It's literally a song about nuclear fission.
Yeah, the thing is, it's one thing if it were a song about nuclear fission, but when you have a lyric like "fission their mission," holy Jesus, who the fuck thought that's a good idea?
Why is there like werewolves in the background to a song about nuclear fission? I'm sorry, guys. And then what the fuck is a Lecherous Nocturne, anyways? I mean, like, what is a Lecherous Nocturne? Can you explain that band name to me?
That might be something out of that. Sounds like the name of an enemy on Diablo or something like that.
Yeah, I just
I've often played Diablo, and then I'll look at the names of some of the monsters, and I'll go, man, that'd be a fucking cool name for a band. Many times that name has already been used.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I can't take this seriously. You can't write a song where your lyrics are fission, their mission, or whatever the fuck it was. Like,
yeah,
dude, it's stupid as fuck.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, I have to agree with you. And that, I mean, musically, it's not terrible. It's a lot better than the Frozen Soul song.
No, I mean, and I was like, that's the thing that started up. I was like, oh, the music's pretty good. And then the lyrics started, and I was like, sorry, guys. Thumbs down for me.
There was a groundswell of laughter coming from the Sinister Minister. Their debut album, Adoration of the Blade, is actually, in my view, very good. even though the review that it gets on Metal Archives is dreadful, 42%. And then The Age of Miracles Has Passed, which was their next record, also doesn't receive the greatest of reviews, but I remember listening to that and quite enjoying it. So, but this is just, it's lyrics are terrible, music I've heard 1,000 times, and if I want to hear that style of death metal, I can turn on Hate Eternal. And at least Hate Eternal, you don't have Rutan going Fission their mission.
Yeah. I guess like I couldn't. The reason I found it so funny is because I was kind of taken off guard. Like, I was like, is these literally the lyrics? Like, are you literally saying this? Are you literally talking about how fission occurs? Like, and it's just like, there's that style of progressive death metal where it's just like stupid science lyrics, and it's like such a great example of stupid science lyrics where it's like done by guys who don't know have anything better to talk about, so they're like, oh, let's talk about science stuff, and I'm like, I just have no interest in that. Sorry.
I totally agree. All right, we move on. Abyssal Rift have signed with Transcending Obscurity Records, US Death Doom formation. Abyssal Rift has inked a deal with Transcending Obscurity Records for the release of their next studio record, Relics of Great Ash. They've got a preview track here. It's entitled The Enlightenment There Was Never Will. Let's hear what it sounds like. It feels to me this week has been dry as a fucking bone. I've got to say, that sucks.
Yeah.
No other way to describe it. It fucking blows. The vocals are dreadful. The riff sounds like something, again, that it sounds like something you're fucking around with in the band room. It doesn't sound like a song that's kind of fully formed yet. It sounds like a bunch of ideas tossed in and there we go. There's a track. I know that's not what they intended, but that's certainly what it's coming off like.
This is going to sound, so no offense to Transcending Obscurity, but this band released their last album on Sentient Ruin, which is a label I think is more of a legitimate label, if that makes sense. Because Transcending Obscurity is kind of the label that just signs anybody, it feels like, like they put out like 100 albums a year or something, it just kind of feels like a step down from Sentient Ruin, you know what I mean? And it's not surprising if this is the music they're putting out,
I made this point a while ago. It is my observation, and to your point, no disrespect to Transcending Obscurity and to Canal, because there are some very good bands on that label and bands I really like.
Yeah.
But I absolutely agree with you. He seems to be signing far too many bands, and because he signs too many bands, one, I don't think the bands that are on the label necessarily get the support that they should be getting or the attention that they should be getting, because they, like we said, there's great bands on that roster,
Definitely.
and bands that are that should be a lot bigger and a lot further ahead, because it seems like it's just a numbers game. I feel like for many bands, and folks can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I feel like for many bands, the reason they sign a deal with Transcending Obscurity is to get a record out on a label, and that ultimately gives them a springboard into going to a different label.
Exactly, yeah. It just seems that way. Like, it seems like the label that if you're a band, you're trying to get your first CD out, and you want to get an actual CD out on a label, since Transcending Obscurity, particularly if you're like a certain type of band, like, he seems to sign anybody. I mean, it just seems like that. I mean, I feel like he's putting out like fucking album, like at least one album every week, like just, which is too much, but maybe that's like what he's trying to do. Maybe he's just trying to be a springboard for bands to put out an album. I don't know. I don't really understand how he's doing it, but the unfortunate thing though is that there are bands on the label that are quite good that I think probably don't get the look that they should.
Yeah.
Because
that's my point. It's like a lot of these bands should be getting more attention, definitely have tons and tons of potential and talent, but they don't, because they just get lost in the mix of the 7 releases that he puts out every single week.
Exactly. And I think that's kind of, I mean, I just don't know how sustainable it is for him as well. I mean, I just don't really understand how he's doing that. I mean, it can't be cheap to be putting out all those CDs and records and stuff constantly. It just, I don't know. It's weird.
Well, yeah, none of that goes anyway towards changing my view on Abyssal Rift, unfortunately. That is going to earn, I actually think, a rare brown down. I think it's absolutely shy.
So go up a little bit. Enevelde. That's
Enevelde, all right.
I like that. I like them a lot.
Norwegian black metal act Enevelde present a brand new song, Langt fra umaken vert. The latter will appear on the upcoming split album, Eleger fra Avgrunnen, to be released together with fellow countryman Gjendod.
Yep, it'll be released on Territor.
Let me pause there. What are your thoughts?
I would say, for anybody who doesn't know, this is the main side project of B. Krabo from Misotheist. He's also the main guy, Mesotheist. But this band, he does everything. Like he plays all the instruments, I believe. So where I think with Mesotheist, he has other people play with him.
Can I just take a second once again to say that Depinter, the new Mesotheist album, is one of the best things that has come out in 2026 without question.
Oh,
It
yeah.
is a fucking masterpiece.
It's definitely probably going to be in my top 5 for this year, 100%.
Yeah,
So,
no question. What else has stood out for you this year so far? I've taken a slightly different approach to my best of list this year in that I'm keeping a kind of running list rather than waiting for the end of the year to start putting everything together. As things stand right now, I have 17 albums on my, in occupying my potential 30 slots. Now, obviously, some of them are going to fall out. There'll definitely be some changes. But if I look at that top 5, maybe all the way up to the top 8, Jesus, it's going to be hard to break into that, man.
Yeah. I'll answer that in a second too. But I would say I like this song. Obviously, I like Enevelde quite a bit. So
Yeah, I like it too. I like it too. Now, I'm going to say it's possibly benefiting from the fact that everything else we've heard so far today has been so deplorable. But I do like it.
Yeah. The last Enevelde album was in my top 20 last year. So so anyway, so I'd say Mayhem, obviously. The Diabolus Mecum Sepatern album, which also includes Crabble from Mesotheist, as well as the vocalist from Hordem Rife and one of the guys from Mani. Great album. The Mesotheist album. The Koskrada. Have you listened to that one yet?
Oh, fucking hell, dude.
That's so
what
good.
a record.
Yeah. The Necrofire album. It's been a little slow this year, I'd say. Like, those are definitely be really high. The Brass to Honor album from Roman from Drudka is going to be in that. The Transylvania album, which Scott from Cloak sent me. That's pretty sick. Slagmar.
I got turned on to that Transylvania record by him as well.
Yeah, the Slagmar album, which is 100% the best thing they've ever done, for sure. Immolation and Dodesvanger. That's probably those two. 100% are going to be on the top. I really like the new At the Gates album. Actually, I like that a lot.
Me too. I think that was about as great of a send off that they could possibly have done. And obviously, I know that it was recorded while he was still alive. But in terms of how it's packaged, it's just everything. I feel like everything about the presentation, the end result with the songs, to me, that's a fitting send off to a great man.
Definitely. Of course, Otha.
Oh yes.
Yeah, and I like the new Toulouse album actually quite a bit. I don't think it's gonna be my top 20, but I still need to listen to New Versio Humanitatis album, but I'm sure that will be up there.
Ask you, like, what's wrong with you, mate? Where is that record on your list?
Yeah, I'm sure it will be on there. I just haven't listened to it. I didn't realize that it was already out until like a couple days ago, because I thought it was coming out later. And then I realized it was already out. So I was like, I got to listen to this now. But that'll probably be on the list. So that's probably like the ones. And it's pretty strong. I mean, some of those albums are going to be hard to dislodge, like the ones I just mentioned. You know what I mean?
Yeah. One release I would add to that list, and it's because I've heard the whole thing. I know people have only heard the single so far, but Faustian, Parable of the Sewer. I've listened to the entire record. It is phenomenal.
New Gravier album.
Yes, absolutely. Via Doloris, fucking fantastic record. Malum, an album called From the Voids, very, very good. Then I've got that Crippled Black Phoenix album on my list as well. I cannot stress to you how that blew me away. I've always liked Crippled Black Phoenix, and especially the last couple of albums. I feel like this sort of second chapter or third chapter, if you will, depending on how you've been tracking their lineup changes. But the latest chapter of Crippled Black Phoenix has turned out some really, really cool albums. But this is a massive step up. It's not black metal, it's not death metal, it's not extreme. It does have a lot of kind of post-punk and post-rock elements to it, gothic elements to it. But just as an overall listen experience, it is a fucking masterpiece. It is the first, what I would consider 10 out of 10 Crippled Black Phoenix record.
Yeah, I have it on my to be listened. This year, the funny thing is that, so I have right now I have a big playlist, everything like stumble upon for 2026. I've actually stumbled upon quite a few bands that I'm not familiar with. Basically, like totally new bands to me. Just like stumble upon them, listen to a couple songs on Spotify. Go, this is good. I add it to the list to go listen to later. So my end of year list may end up. I'm gonna filter through a lot of these stuff, but it may end up with a number of new bands that I haven't heard before, which would be nice. You know what I mean? Like, because I would say that there's probably been more stuff that I've been stumbling on. I think is pretty good from bands that I haven't heard of before. Which is cool.
That's always the exciting thing about every year for me is, there's the records by the stalwarts that will come out, you'll enjoy them, and they're probably going to be contenders if nothing else. But then the exciting thing is the bands that you've never heard of before that kind of start getting added to that list as the year progresses.
Yeah, and like I have a lot of stuff on here that I need to actually like listen to more than just a song. But there's definitely quite a big amount that I found. Just like one that I know that is quite good. It's this band called Bloodworn. The album is called Det Finnes Ingen Trone. I've actually listened to that whole album. That's really good. Oh yeah, new Vargrav album. That's really sick. Have you listened to that yet?
No, not yet.
Dimension Demonium. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I listened to this album, Chaos Insignia, Crown of the Infernal Code. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely quite a bit of albums that have come out, but I am a little behind on listening to a lot of the stuff outside of like the stalwart stuff. You know what I mean?
That's what happens when you're addicted to Elden Ring, mate. Life takes a back seat. Unfortunately,
the 250 hours I put into it.
Somebody who's not going to be able to afford their internet connection so that they can play Elden Ring is Geoff Bailey. He has recently been announced as the new guitarist in Cradle of Filth, and of course he replaces the previously disadvantaged who have now exited the band. I read that Cradle of Filth lawsuit has been dropped as well, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, apparently it was dropped. It says here, due to issues regarding jurisdiction, it was dismissed without prejudice, meaning the plaintiffs are free to refile in an appropriate venue. They filed that in Arizona. I'm not 100% sure what the issue was with jurisdiction. Maybe Arizona was like, you guys most of you on American, get the fuck out of my courtroom and stop wasting my time.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird because his manager Des from
Fafaro,
yeah, who is in Arizona. What's weird about the whole situation is that Des like manages a bunch of people, and a lot of people don't have any issues with the way he manages, but it's like something Cradle of Filth. It seems like he wasn't managing them very good.
Well, there's possibly some of that, but it also does come back to a degree to the stories I've heard about, the two folks that exited, their behavior outside of the band, was causing problems. Likewise, they, as much as the contracts might be unfair, you
did sign them.
It behooves you to read a fucking contract, and to your point, they signed them.
Yeah, like you should have actually read it. And even Danny Phil said that as for his understanding, those contracts weren't supposed to be the final ones. Like they're supposed to read them and then demand like, no, I want, we need to change this, like, and so.
Well, you also can't change a contract after the fact. I mean, I don't know what
Yeah.
fucking fantasy land these people live in, but once you've signed a contract, you've signed a contract.
Yeah.
I can't, I can't have a cell phone contract and go, after 6 months, hey guys, I've decided I'm paying a little too much for this. I'd like to change my rates, please, if that's okay. Otherwise, I'm leaving.
Yeah, I would say, in my opinion, like, I am a fan of Cradle of Filth. I don't think Danny Filth is entirely blameless in all this, but at the same time, I definitely think that there's some issues with those his ex-members for sure, like that are on them. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, again, there's also the part of me that thinks that if there are constantly people leaving your band, then at some point you have to there's a sort of revolving door of membership in your outfit, and you're the only one who always, who's kind of the constant there, then there may potentially be an issue with you as well. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that there is an issue with people, or for people to work with Glenn Benton and Steve Ashim and Deicide as an example.
Yeah,
they wouldn't have lost that many members if there wasn't.
No.
But again,
that's what it is.
Know what you're letting yourself in for.
Yeah,
both commercially, financially, but just also from a work perspective. I think that's why somebody like Tommy Victor, for example, I think that's why he made it work with Glenn Danzig, because like he knew what he was signing up for. You're not going to be, you're not the focal point of the band. You're not going to be compensated as well as I am. What I say goes. End of fucking story. Now, maybe that's Glenn Danzig just managing it a lot better. But yeah, I just think know what you are letting yourself in for, and plan and act accordingly.
Yeah, and ultimately, if you are joining a band, read the fucking contract.
Yeah.
What,
Now, somebody should have read the contract that they signed with the photographer and whoever directed the artwork of this band photo. The band in question, Sedan, it looks worryingly similar to me to Drogvale.
have you seen this yet?
I have not. No.
Oh. You're in for a treat.
Nashville, Tennessee-based black metal duo Sedan have revealed details and a first single in what will be their fourth studio album, entitled Fang Driller, Scars Beneath Memory's Wrist. It will land in stores on June the 19th via Avant-Garde Music. I'm terrified to hear what this sounds like, but we're going to hear the single. The single that we're about to listen to is entitled Kara No Bara. pause there. I can't take anymore.
You're missing out on the best part because the video is like so bad. It's so funny.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I'll be showing the video when I edit this together. But that was not good.
It showed up on. Drugov sent it to our band thing on for HoloLens about how awful it was on Instagram. The video, like, it's comedic. What I don't understand is, like, this band is basically, it's like, I guess they've been around a while, at least 5-6 years. Their music's all about like Japanese stuff, and that music doesn't sound like black metal to me. It sounds kind of like some of like the slightly more extreme like Japanese music, like Visual K music or something, but not as good as a lot of those Japanese bands are even.
Well, the vocalist's stage name or performance or performance name is splatterpunk, so that's hardly that's hardly black metal.
Yeah, I mean,
I totally agree with you. This doesn't sound like black metal to me. This sounds like some bullshit avant-garde crap that would have come out in the 90s that no one would have paid any attention to.
I just don't understand why it's being called black metal,
I suspect it's because they call themselves black metal.
I hope that they're, and yeah, I just, I don't know. And I don't know if I don't even know if are these guys actually Asian either?
No, they're not.
They're two white guys, right?
Yeah.
They're,
like I said, they're from Nashville. They're definitely not Asian. They don't look like black metal dudes to me. They look like guys that would have gotten de-pantsed and thrown into a swimming pool if they grew up in my neighborhood.
So
I will say this. Sorry, you're going to say?
So in the music video, one of them is wearing like a sailor costume. So,
well, I mean, musically, this is still better than Drogvale. I don't know whether you've seen what's gone on there, but
no.
He's decided to double down on bad album covers. And he recently, and if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm sharing it right now. He recently brought out an EP with, I don't even remember who the person is who he's doing the split EP with, but the EP is called Blades and Roses, and it features him sitting mournfully on it's a Shetland pony that at best. It's like Shetland pony's a tiny ass horse. And he's got he's holding a rose while staring down, like I said, mournfully at some nerd who's holding, I suspect, one of his toy swords that he's held on other album covers.
Selvnat, whoever the fuck that is.
Yeah,
that's obviously like an AI cover too, for sure. It's got to be, right?
Yeah, it must be. But as I said, I mean, it's a Shetland pony. No fucking grown man sits on a Shetland pony. They can't take more than about 120 pounds.
Yeah, I just this guy can't be like serious. You know what I mean? Like he's obviously not serious about what he's doing, right? I mean,
no,
you can't seriously put out a cover like that and expect people to take you serious, right? Like
no, definitely not. I agree with you. I think he's trolling at a. If he is trolling, he's a master at it.
Yeah.
Because the amount of attention that I put out a short on YouTube for my comments on that last album, the one where he's laying with that same sword in like on a bed of roses, staring seductively at the camera.
Yeah.
And that short got, I think, 19,000 views, and there were some people in there that took it super serious and were fucking pissed at me for saying that the music sucks and for calling him a troll.
Really?
Oh yeah, no, like they were really, really angry with me about it, and going on about how it's a boomer take and it's great black metal. What's wrong with me? I'm an elitist. I'm a gatekeeper. This, that, and the other. and like I wasn't. I mean, I said the music is horrible, but I was kind of like saying, look, if this is a troll, whatever he's done, he's clearly gotten a lot of attention. He's gotten way more attention than a whole host of hard-working, talented black metal bands and he's done it by virtue of just a fucking
It's horrible album cover.
album cover.
Yeah.
So kudos to him. I mean, he clearly knows what he's doing. But yeah, people were upset, mate. They were very offended.
I mean, there is that other stupid band, Kek Iraq or whatever, that has like the horrible covers. So you know that like Pale Swordsman cover? Have you seen that cover?
No,
You haven't seen? Oh, dude.
how do I spell Kek Iraq?
Oh man, that's a good question. Look up Pale Swordsman on whatchamacallit on look up Pale Swordsman as the album. The album's called Pale Swordsman, and you'll find it.
Oh my god! If it's this one, hold on. Let me share this this tab. Is this the one?
Yes, sir.
Holy Jesus! My god, that is bad.
And so that guy put out a new album this year as well, and the album he put out a video, and it's like watching. It's straight up like. It feels like he's like straight up like retarded or something in the video.
Okay, all right. Well, we have to watch that then. Let me let me line that up. So, Kekt Iraq. I've never heard of this before.
Really?
No. Hold on. Let me get it up here on YouTube. I have to see this music video. Just gonna get my what's the name?
I know that's what the song was they put out. Just put that.
What is it? Is it Wanderer Castle?
Band name, I'm sure it'll show up.
Three
album's called
winters
Star,
away. I mean, 3 Winters Away looks like a fucking. Hold on, let me share this. So 3 Winters Away looks like a Neil Breen movie. And then you've got
that's the one. Yeah,
3 Winters Away. All right.
Yeah.
So let's check this out. It's only 2 minutes 48, but we'll give it 90 seconds. But yeah, I oh my god, I just saw the preview for it. Right, I'm gonna shut the fuck up. Let's check this out. I love the finger pointing at the camera.
It is something really like what's the word?
Shitty.
Yeah, shitty and almost autistic about this, right? Like it's like there's something like it's so bad. He seems like so earnest about it that it seems like almost autistic. You know what I mean?
So he calls himself Crying Orc. That is his stage name. He's from the Ukraine, and he's put shockingly
very popular.
Three albums: Night and Love, Pale Swordsman came out in 2021, and then the new record is entitled Morning Star. From whence this single was taken. Shockingly enough, this came out on my birthday. So
people like it too, and I don't. I look at this Pale Swordsman cover, and it's a dude like with a sword smelling a rose, and I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Well, dude, you better hope that now that you've said all these horrible things about him, that his throng of fans don't come after you. And speaking of which, we're going to address a non-metal related incident, but one that I found very fucking funny on my Swirly of the Week. All right, so the Swirly of the Week it relates to an actor who I didn't even know the dude fucking existed. His name is Paul Anthony Kelly. The only reason I'm aware of this is because this popped up randomly on my Twitter feed. So do you know who Paul Anthony Kelly is?
No idea.
He is an actor who is apparently starred in a show called Love Story. That came out this year. He played the role. It's a show on FX, and he stars alongside Sarah Pidgeon, somebody else I don't know, and he plays the role of John F. Kennedy Jr. But didn't know who he was. Didn't really give a fuck. But anyway, he was invited to the Met Gala, which is a for anybody who's not American or anybody who doesn't know, is basically where a bunch of celebrity scum get together, and they hobnob with politicians. You've got people like AOC wearing a $180,000 dress saying "tax the rich" on the back. So if a fucking nuclear bomb dropped on that site and wiped out all those people, the world would be a significantly better place.
Yeah.
But anyway, Paul Anthony Kelly was asked as he was walking up to the entrance of the venue of the Met. He was asked what his favorite Beyonce song is, and this is how he responded.
Yeah, wild, super fun. I don't know. I'm a metalhead.
So pretty straightforward. If you asked me, literally on pain of me losing my life, to name a single Beyonce song, I could not possibly. I could not possibly give you an answer. I don't know, and I don't give a fuck. I'm completely and utterly indifferent to her music and to all other pop music. However, I mean that's a pretty straightforward response, is it not? There's nothing mean. There's nothing horrible said in that response. It's just not his tempo.
Yeah.
So apparently a couple of people did not see it that way.
Really?
And there was an explosion of completely insane and unhinged tweets in response to this, including a couple of choice examples that I have found. Lana Knew It Tried. She writes, 100% racism coded plus hint of misogyny.
What?
This guy thinks he's too cool for school and was thinking of offending his mates if he knows Beyonce.
What?
I hate Paul Anthony Kelly.
What? That's insane. That
does not stop, mate.
Oh my god.
Athena K 113749112. Arrogant, basic white guy attitude. It's one thing not to know her songs, which is fine. But the way he said it sounds like he can't even be bothered to think for a minute. Bays Rem, the way he worded it is simply rude. He could have said, not sure. Instead, he said, I don't like her music. I won't bear if anyone disrespects Beyonce's music. Miss Hangman, and just like that, he all of a sudden is ugly as hell. And on and on and on it goes. He was called racist. They've tried to cancel. There was somebody that said, this is, again, clear racism, microaggression.
Is it white people or black people like doing all this? Like,
funnily enough, the majority are white people accusing him of racism. If your threshold if you have to look so hard for racism that you have to accuse somebody of being a racist because they didn't like a Beyonce song, you are, I mean,
that's insane.
You should be fucking institutionalized.
Yeah.
If somebody's genuinely racist, call it out. That's, I mean, I would 100% support you. It's wrong. It's fucking stupid. 100% call it out and condemn it. But are we now to suggest that somebody is being a misogynist and a fucking white supremacist because he doesn't like Beyonce?
Because he doesn't listen to Beyonce. He just said, I don't listen to Beyonce. I'm a metalhead. Like, Like that would be my answer. I don't fucking know Beyonce song. Like I couldn't name you one off the top of my head at all.
I don't know. I don't care. I don't like her. I don't like her music. I don't like anything that she or any of that fucking bullshit pop music scene stand for. And quite honestly, this isn't even Swirly territory as far as I'm concerned. Every single person that said that Paul Anthony Kelly is a racist for this, they don't get dunked in the porcelain bowl of reckoning. I'm going to stick them in one of those fucking human cannons, fire them out into the alligator-filled swamps of Florida so that we can be fucking rid, so that the world can be rid of that blight forever.
Yeah.
That, my friends, is the Swirly of the week. All right. It was fucking great to talk to you again, my man. And I always feel like whenever we do these, I feel like we need to do these far more regularly.
Yeah, I always really enjoy doing them. Even if it's a slow week, like this week, like there wasn't like a lot of great music to listen to, but
No.
you know, we just
Very
made up. We made up for it by making fun of bands. You know.
Yeah. 100%. No, we more than made up for it.
Duncan on Kekarak.
Yeah. All right. Well, friends, on that note, I'm going to wrap up. Thank you so much if you have stuck around until the very end. I will be back next week. As always, Karl will be coming your way on Thursday, potentially, and on Sunday. So make sure you don't miss Soul Knocks. Whatever it is that you are doing and wherever it is that you are, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you bad motherfuckers again next week.
Do not ask who I am, and do not ask me to remain the same. I who have nothing, I am cosmos, I am disease and cure.